What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambo Victory Monday edition. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk about this big win the Packers got down in Chicago, obviously beating the Chicago Bears 20-19. Tim, I've been tuning into Good Morning Lambo Good Morning Football, and let me tell you, man, Kyle Brandt is not well. He looks kind of sad today, the lifelong Chicago Bears.
Let the memes flow in. Feed me the memes. I'm feeling great on a Victory Monday. Got some good sleep. I slept on it. I got some diesel going. And I came to the determination that
the Bears still suck.
They do. Man, I hear people talk about organizations being cursed and our team's cursed, and that kind of felt like it yesterday. I ain't gonna lie, Tim. It just kind of felt like it. But let's do this. Let's get this party started, right, and give a shout out to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambo and in Milwaukee. Click on the link in the video description that'll send you to their website, theticketking.com. You can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Again, we're going to continue on here. Obviously, Victory Monday. We're going to talk about some of the big plays. We're going to have some fun here too, guys. This is going to be more of a celebratory, show today. We'll continue it tonight. We'll have the PFF grades for you guys and gals this evening on the PTA Live tonight, and we'll break down all of that information as well. I did see it come across a wire on Twitter, though, or actually on PFF's website. They had an early grade for Christian Watson, Tim, 92. Yeah, 92.8 is what the early grade was. We'll see if it changes. But, man, 4 targets, 4 catches, 150 yards. Had some clutch catches down the stretch as well, which we're going to get to those. I've already been in here breaking down all 22 this morning, so we got some really good stuff to show you guys. And you know how it is, man. You watch the game, and everything's kind of a blur, right? And then afterwards you realize, oh, yeah, that did happen at that time. I didn't realize just how clutch that final drive for the Packers was. Yeah. Both Jordan and Christian Watson taking them right down the field. Now, I just want to show this clip, and then we're going to get to the radio call. Matter of fact, we may just leave this up as I share the radio call, Tim. But look at this shot right here, boys.
Love it.
Love it. Yeah. For everybody
I'm still on the fence. I feel like that was a tutter, but maybe that's the homer in me.
You know, it's crazy. Bill Belichick was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, we spend all this money on the league. We've got all access to pretty much everything, and we can't put more cameras in the stadium. You want me to tell you the camera that would have fixed that right there?
Top down, straight up and down, looking over the line of scrimmage would have told us everything we needed to know.
But when you think of that, Tim, it's almost like, how can you do that though? You hang a cable. What do? Then the ball might hit the. You know what I'm saying? Here's another easy, simple fix. A camera looking right down the out of bounds from the back of the end zone looking towards the field. Because then you could have cross-checked like they were trying to do yesterday. The problem was every angle was at an angle like this. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like straight on. You could see exactly where, okay, there's where he went out of bounds. There's where the ball was when he went out of bounds. Regardless, obviously he just ends up sneaking it in anyway, which was great that he still got the touchdown. But, man, I just want to point out, like, this is a guy who tore his MCL earlier this year, right? It's a guy that has battled a growing injury, and then you see him come back and he's finally fully healthy. It'd be real easy to go, hey, now, and I still hear people saying, he needs to protect himself. BS. This is football. And someone else said, what if you lose that ball inside the pylon and it goes out
of bounds, though? Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. If it goes through the end zone is what they were talking about. It ends up being a touchback. Yeah. And I get that and all. But, guys, football players have got to play football. Those type of plays are going to happen. Yep. You know, it's going to happen. This dude, I've been as critical of Jordan as anyone. He struggled this year. There's no two ways about it. The interception he threw earlier in the game, air milled it. That was more of a technique thing. Yep. Ball got away from him. That's on him. But when you see the game is on the freaking line and you watch what he did, I'm going to show another play here in a minute, the Christian Watson 60-yarder, where he just stepped into an absolute buzzsaw to deliver that ball. And Scoot obviously makes a great diving catch, has awareness to get up and take it on up the field. But we do have something else I want to play here real quick. We get the radio call for the game-winning kick here, Tim. I'm going to keep this up, though, so we don't get hit with any kind of copyright here. But here was Larry McCarron and Wayne Larrivee on the call for the game-winning kick. I'll try not to blare everybody's ears
The
out.
two absolute best in NFL radio right here. I love it.
Definitely. So this is the block kick at the end of the game. Here are just a couple goats calling it. It's about 2 minutes long, but enjoy.
He had a 43-yard field goal blocked by Jacksonville and missed from 56 yards against the Colts. Can the Packers get a block here and escape Chicago with a win?
Wayne called it.
Bay 3 seconds ago. They'll place it down to the left hash mark. 36-yard line, 10 to the end zone. 46-yard field goal attempt. Torrey Taylor on the hold. Scott Daly the snap. Cairo Santos for the game. Signals being called. Here's the snap. Placement made. The kick is blocked. It is blocked. It is blocked. And the Packers have won. Beautiful. It is blocked. It comes up short. And the Packers have won 11 straight over the Bears. 20-19. Oh, my goodness. What a finish. John Kuhn, what did you see?
Ryan, it was a low kick, and the Packers saw that with his first field goal earlier in the ball game, and obviously took note to that because they gave a good rush up the middle and got their hands up and got just enough of that football to keep it from getting all the way to the end zone. Wow, I cannot believe the way this game ended with all the miscues and all the bad fortune that the Packers had throughout this ball game to be able to eke this one out. I don't know if you call it an ugly win. I don't know if you call it just the will of a tough, gritty team, but the Packers are going to walk away with their 11th in a row.
Wow, what a ball game. And John, I couldn't see who got a piece of it from where we sat. And we did not see any replays. They're not going to show a replay in the stadium.
They're not showing any replays. No, we are at Soldier Field. The fans are dejected. They are booing. They are walking out. They are leaving in droves right now. And it is, I mean, the only fans that you hear here are the Packer fans that are obviously cheering excited. But what a change in feel from after that kick.
Man, just absolutely awesome.
Is that not the icing on the cake? You know,
Yeah.
Wayne and The Rock can't figure out who blocked it in real time because the Bears will refuse to play the replay on the big board. I love
Not
it.
showing any replays in this. It's everybody just go home. Get out of here. We got to clean the bleachers. Get out of here. All right.
It's so
good.
true. It's so true.
good. All right. So obviously, man, that speaks for itself. Wayne Larrivee, Larry McCarron. I love that announcers are so invested. You know, it's like with Wes Hodkiewicz too, man. You know, there's a lot of people covering the Packers, and there's a lot of knuckleheads like me that aren't good at covering the Packers. But Wes Hodkiewicz is one of these guys that you get some folks covering the Packers and they don't really care about Green Bay. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is just my job. I'm not a Packer fan. They tell you that 1,700 times.
Yeah, they want you to know real bad that they're not Packer fans.
They're not a Packer fan. But Wes Hodkiewicz, he does it the old school way, in my opinion.
Yep.
You know, these guys that hang their hat on, they're not Packer fans. If you go back to throughout the history of the Green Bay Packers, especially back in the 40s and 50s, it was huge that the local Green Bay Press Gazette guys were spinning the stories to find the positive outcome. Like the Packers may have lost, which they didn't lose much early on, let's be honest, but they may lose or attendance may be down, but they would try to spin the story in a positive light because they knew if they came down on the Packers and they hurt that image, that they were just on such fragile ground. And what I'm trying to say is if the people that cover the Packers today, not all of them, there's some great Packers coverage, don't get me wrong, but the ones that like to just point out, well, you know, they're not as good as you think they are, and I'm not a fan and this and that. If they had approached it the same way in the early stages of the Green Bay Packers, there would be no Green Bay Packers. So I really appreciate when you got people like Wes Hodkiewicz who come out and you could tell they're a fan. People like Larry McCarron, who used to play for the Packers, you could tell he's a fan. John Kuhn, who's just an absolute, I think he's a legend in Green Bay, especially against Chicago. You guys remember the chip block he threw to free up the Randall Cobb touchdown. Those are the guys that I really want to support and just make sure that everybody knows they exist. But Wes Hodkiewicz, cut from the same cloth, he said 7-3 with back-to-back at home. See you next Sunday. Like he had just gotten back into town from Chicago last night, Tim.
Yep.
And he went straight upstairs, filmed this video. They got the lights on the field there, obviously helping keep the grass alive, and just hanging out in the stadium by himself. This dude's a true Packer fan, and I love it.
Yeah, and it's important that you mentioned what you said, that the fabric of our history and the reason that we're sitting here talking about the Packers in 2024 is because of the Press Gazette and because of the media that did their best to maintain that level of interest and excitement and build that fan base, the reason why we have a team. And yeah, you're right. Wes is like a throwback, man. He's a throwback to the old days. And just love this shot right here, man. This is what's so cool about it too, is because we don't get this kind of access, right? We're fans. We don't have a biometric scanned programmed thumbprint where we can access 1265 whenever we like. And we certainly can't, come in here in the middle of the night and just get great shots of Lambo like this. And it's just awesome that Wes shares that on his social media. And I think it adds to the vibe, because you see Wes and Mike covering the team, in the official capacity on the Packers website all the time. But it's always cool to see little gems like this when you follow Wes's socials, and just really appreciate what he does for the team. And, shout out to our grounds crew too, our field maintenance staff and, all the boys there. It's a great team there. Look at Lambo looking beautiful, getting ready. The tundra will not be frozen as we get ready to defeat the 49ers on Sunday. So I love this, man. Shout out to Wes Hodkiewicz for real.
Yeah, and we're about to find out a little bit more about the Green Bay Packers on Sunday against San Francisco. Listen, San Francisco is not nearly as good as they used to be. Don't get me wrong. They're having kind of a down year, obviously. I think it was Seattle that beat them yesterday. Geno Smith just ran all over them there at the end in the fourth quarter at last drive. But it's going to be a better test, I think, than the Bears. But like Randy Cleavers pointed out, all the talking about how bad the Bears were, thought we would boat race them, have to give them credit. They balled out. If you remove, I think it's the previous two games, Randy, they were peaking.
Yep.
They were starting to like, holy cow, the Bears are a real deal. Their defense is real. Caleb's protecting the football. He's playing. You could see the improvement in Caleb's game up to that point. And then Tyreek Stevenson obviously got caught there jawing with the fans on the tipped up Hail Mary and everything. The wheels came off, right? And they lost another heartbreaker the next week. They lose this one. Momentum's a real thing in the NFL. But you're right, man. They balled out yesterday. And I think they're moving in the right direction. The problem is I don't think they're going to get much higher than the ceiling they've reached right now with Matt Eberflus at the helm. So hopefully he keeps his job. Let's just say it that way. Right? As a Packer fan, let's hope Eberflus. Listen, man, I don't want anybody to lose their job. Come on, Eberflus.
Right.
We want you to keep that job and keep it going. So keep that.
And the stage is set already, regardless of what happens these next few weeks. Bears, Packers, Week 17 at Lambeau Field, probably for a playoff berth. It could be for a potential wild card for even the Bears. You never know the way things are shaping up in the NFC right now. But certainly a must-win game for us. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We're not getting any help. We got some help yesterday, which was
I think 2 games, right?
Yeah, we got a couple of games. That was a rarity this year. I think that's the first time we've really seen any other help from some of these teams in the NFC. Packers control their own destiny. We have to continue to win games. And, this was huge. This was a big boost, big shift in momentum and energy. Fires up your team, fires up your locker room. We kind of had a feeling pre-game that it was going to be kind of a grinder. And, as badly as we wanted to boat race the Bears, like we've done so many times before, it just wasn't in the cards. And Randy's right. You have to tip your cap to the Bears, especially their defense, not entirely surprised that we gave up 19 points to the Bears. Not entirely surprised that we had a turnover. But what was surprising was the way that Bears defense really made us earn it all damn day long. And they were banged up. They were missing guys in their secondary. Every yard we had to earn. And you have to respect your division rival because that was a hell of a ball game. It really was.
Yeah, completely agree. Let's go to the chat here real quick. Jarrell Lee in the chat said, we all knew there was something in Brenton Cox. Defense saves the day again. Offense left opponents on the field, maybe meant points on the field. Great to see we are cleaning up the flags. Go, Pack, go. Yeah, me and Tim were talking about that offline there, Jarrell. Good to see you in there, buddy. Appreciate you swinging through. you had the personal foul from Xavier McKinney on the sideline. I understand the argument that you can't touch him there, but at the same time, how many times are we going to watch a quarterback scamper up the damn sideline because people are scared to hit him? You know, it's something that Patrick Mahomes has perfected. He acts like he's going to go out of bounds, and then next thing you know, 8 more yards up the sideline. I'm okay with that personal foul if it's, hey, we're not going to let you steal yardage from us. I also understand why the officials had to throw the flag, because Caleb Williams acted like somebody sniped him from the top of the stadium, you know, threw his hands up and fell down and all that.
It must be that new sloped roof that they have there at Soldier Field.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's not get back into that. But again, think of Caleb Williams on that play and him acting like, you know, flailing on the sideline like somebody, you know, tried to destroy him. And then think of this picture. That's the difference. That's the difference between grit right there. And that's exactly what we talk about with Caleb, elite arm talent, right?
Yep.
But it just seems like every time it comes down to the wire, he can't figure out a way to win a ball game, right? So, and here's the other thing too. They're at the end of the game. Perfect example. The head coach with 1 minute left, you're making the decision on how aggressive you're going to be to get that field goal.
Right.
When I seen them pull up, Tim, and settle for the area they were at, I was like, oh boy, this football guys are not going to like that.
I couldn't believe they were letting, I mean, I understand, like we talk about Rolex, right? We talked about this concept and, you know, not giving the Packers a chance to get the ball back there at the end. You want to kick that winner with no time on the clock. But my God, they could have ran another play and got a little bit closer there. And
it was crazy. It was just like, oh, Santos will hit it. And it's awesome too that, you know, they said Rich Bisaccia kind of called it during the week. Like they could see his trajectory was kind of low and they were going to take advantage of it. And Carl Brooks, man, just drive, get your hands up, right?
Just the tip, though.
It's hilarious that the Packers tweeted that out too, man. Shout out to the social media team, man. They've been on fire. But good to see you, Drill. Anthony in the chat. A win is a win. This is the NFL. There are no guarantees ever, and the Bears still suck.
The Bears still suck.
Randy Cleavers. Clayton, you were right. Love throwing picks is the biggest problem. After that pick, momentum changed. It really did. And again, it wasn't a bad decision. Those kind of picks are going to happen, Randy. You can't expect a quarterback to be absolutely perfect. Now, you hope that Tom Clements, right? You hope Tom Clements can get with Jordan and be like, hey, you know, teach a little more touch, right, on the pass there, because there's no reason to. I mean, he fired that rocket. That reminded you of Brett back in the day. Just like, yeah, you just maybe 3/4 arm strength on this one, Brett. Get it out there, convert it. Nah, we're just going to throw a rocket ball.
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here? I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
So, again, it's the biggest problem, but I think we can fix that, Randy. If you didn't have that interception, you probably end up beating the Bears by a couple scores, you know, because you're going to score there on that drive. If you took the field goal, that was on the floor. I haven't heard anyone defend that decision yet, because sometimes I get kind of caught up in the moment, Tim, when you pass up on points, and then I find out later someone will give a better explanation. Here's why we did it. It's like, okay, I could kind of see that. I've heard no one explain why they did that, because there was so much time left, you know, and it's not like the Bears have this dynamic offense. So you'd like to see them take the points in that situation. Holmes in the chat says, love just sell the ball in the pick. It happens. It's football. Could not agree more, Holmes. Ron Samble, I personally love when a team wins these kinds of games. Awesome to look at all your mistakes and make corrections after a win. They're figuring it out slowly. Stokes, 4 snaps, for example. There you go. We'll get into more of the details as we get a little later in the week of who played well, who didn't. Obviously, we'll be doing Chalk Talk tomorrow. I've got it charted already. We got 15 plays for Chalk Talk, and it's going to be a fun one for sure. We'll show a couple of those plays today. Good to see you in here, Ron. Appreciate you, buddy. Randy Cleavers in the chat said, if it wasn't for Watson, we lose that game. Say it one more time, Randy. If it wasn't for Watson, we lose that game.
Here's the guy.
Bro, he was so clutch. That he made that clutch catch in double coverage early in the fourth quarter, right? Yep. And then if I remember correctly, you didn't even get points on that drive. Then you come back the next drive, and he made at least 2 plays on that next drive, and had the 60-yarder that set up the go-ahead score. I mean, it's the old adage, Tim. When the game's on the line, think player, not play, man. He is that dude, especially with them putting Jalen Johnson on Jaden Reed there from time to time yesterday.
Absolutely. And we can talk about, you know, the yards and the catches and everything he did well as a pass catcher. But he was in the trenches all day in that run game, sealing blocks. I mean, I've only made it through one rewatch. I can't wait to break down the all 22. But Scoot had himself arguably one of his best games as a Green Bay Packer. And you see him in his presser after the game, the locker room interview, and he talked, again, leadership 101, deflecting praise and, shining the light on his teammate and talking about putting the team first. And I'm going to do what I can do, what's best for the team. What's best for the team was what he did yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I was rooting so bad to get him in the end zone. That would have been the icing on the cake. Get Scoot a tutter to go on that stat line. But hey, we don't care about individual stats. We care about getting the dub. And Christian just balled out, man. You talk about putting your body on the line. It's funny, Clayton. I've been looking around, I've been listening around, and I don't hear the Christian Watson haters anymore. I don't hear he's made out of glass, he's a bust. They're real quiet today, and they should be, because Scoot is that dude. Hats off to Christian Watson, man. Hell of a game yesterday.
Absolutely. And like Ron pointed out here too, man, our special teams catches hell all the time. Our special teams gets ripped all the time, so they deserve all the credit. Not a lucky play, but a well exacted special teams play. And got to tip your cap to Rich Bisaccia. Rich Bisaccia just won you a game, boys. Yep. I know there's people, you don't see them in the chat today, but I know there's many people that call for his job and what's he actually doing and blah, 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 blah.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Or two, Rich. Listen, he won that game yesterday. Think about that. Because the preparation, and they figured out that trajectory on that, and then not just watching the film and going, hey, we might have an opportunity here, but then putting the right guy in place in Carl Brooks to be right in that lane to block the kick. That stuff doesn't just happen, right?
Setting the tone pregame too. You heard about that, where he told the unit, hey, I will not understand if we leave this game without a block. Basically saying, like, I don't want to hear it. There will be no understanding if you guys don't block a PAT or a field goal in this game. To your point, we've seen it on tape. This kicker has a big leg, low trajectory. If we can get a hand up there, we can get a block. And Carl Brooks, man, like you said, that's Coach B and that whole group getting it done right there. As you see on the epic photo that we saw of that moment, Carl Brooks wasn't the only one with a big old hand up there. We had several guys ready to block that kick. It just so happens Carl Brooks was the one who got it done. So shout out to Rich Bisaccia and the special teams unit for sure.
Yeah, definitely. J. Cole in the chat. I can't wait to go to the 49ers game. Me, my wife, and my pop's first game. Hey, congratulations, Jay. You're going to love it, dude. Make sure you get up there as early as you can. And stay late too, man. Stay an extra day if you can. I like to get up there a couple of days early and just kind of hang. There's nothing better than hanging out in Lambo when no one's around, getting a private tour of Lambo where you might be like me and Mandy. We set up an actual private tour of Lambo where it was just us on it. We had two guides and they just had all their attention on us. It was absolutely awesome. But hanging out at 1919 Kitchen and Tap, middle of the week, is just phenomenal, man. It is awesome because you'd be surprised at how light the crowd is. And it's
and you never know who you'll run into also if you're there during downtime.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll see players and coaches and people around the facility, media, that kind of thing. You might run into one of your favorite Packer beat writers that you want to say hello to. It's awesome. You're right. Just hanging out at 1265 is unparalleled.
Yeah, we ran into Cliff Crystal. We ran into Wes Hodkiewicz. I got to meet Wes. He probably don't remember meeting me. We follow each other on Twitter now, which is kind of cool. So maybe he'll recognize me next time. But
you'll definitely run into Mark Murphy cutting through the pro shop like he does probably daily.
I've never ran into Mark Murphy. Mandy's ran into him like 3 times.
Yeah,
it's
see,
like
that's
every time I get up and go
I
to the
see
restroom.
Mark every time I'm up there, and then you never get to see him. I don't get it.
Every time, I mean, it was hilarious, man. We got up, I think it was at halftime, used the restroom or whatever, and she's waiting on me in the hallway. I come out of the restroom, and she says, Mark Murphy just walked by. I'm like, again? Like, how does this keep happening? And then we were down in the players' tunnel for the private tour, and one of the tour guys said, hey, come here real quick. Come here. And it said we had to be real quiet because it was actually during a Packers press conference. So you had the coach in there, everybody was getting set up with the media. And he went, here's the golf cart. Took me over to David Bakhtiari and Aaron Rodgers' golf cart. And I'm taking pictures and everything. I come walking back down the hall, and I appreciated him doing that. Don't get me wrong. But man, he was like, you just missed the floor. You just walked by. I'm like, How does this keep happening? She's met everybody in the building. I haven't met anybody. You know,
that's like the hot zone right there, right? Down in the corner there by the tunnel, locker room access. Yeah, for sure. I love it.
Yeah. Good to see you, Jay. Appreciate you swinging through, man. Let's get to the locker room speech here from Coach LaFleur. And really, guys, this is pretty much we've echoed, I should say, everything Coach LaFleur said last night. A win is a win. Let's see what he had to say to the guys here.
First of all, we will never, ever apologize for winning this league. Never. All right? It was not up to our standard. And there was a lot of that we got to improve upon. All right? But I'll tell you what, we talked about competitive endurance. And that was a competitive-ass game, and it went down to the final play. So give it up for yourself. I love how Rich always defines our field goal unit, right? Mm-hmm. It's the definition. It defines the character of our football team. And I'll tell you what, man, you guys got after their ass on that final play when we needed it right there. That's right. I got one game ball right here, representing the field goal block unit, goal front. All right. Where's KB at? But I love the fight of this group. All right. This gives us an opportunity, coming off a win, to get back to work.
Hey, let's go, man. Pack on 3. 1, 2, 3. Pass.
Good stuff there from the head coach, Matt LaFleur. Kind of letting the team know, look, man, it really does show the grit that this team has, but at the same time, we got a bunch of stuff you got to clean up. Got a bunch of stuff you got to fix. I don't know.
It feels like a running theme, right? Every week there's always going to be something you can work on, and you appreciate that mindset, especially with a younger football team where guys are never satisfied. And in the same breath, Tupac LaFleur laying down the law. We're never going to apologize for a win, even an ugly, grimy win on the road. We'll take it. 1 point, 100 points, doesn't matter. A dub is a dub.
Definitely. Ron Sample in the chat here, Tim. He says, I run into Mark Murphy 65% of the time.
65%.
65%. That's what I just want to have a cold beer with that dude, man.
Oh, man, for sure. Hey, retirement's coming up, right? We're up in August, I think, next year. So maybe we'll have some daddy sodas over at 1919 with Mr. Mark Murphy one last time. That'd be nice.
My favorite part of Mark Murphy being the president of the Packers here lately is his Murphy Takes 5 in the last year. Yeah. When people get rude with him, it's easy just to throw that one to the side and go to something that he calls them out. It's hilarious, dude. He's what do we got to lose? Last year, let's go out with a bang.
Yep. And that's one of the things I love most about Mark Murphy during his tenure here is the fact that he's extremely accessible to the fans. There's not a lot of owners in the NFL out there that are accessible to the fans. And of course, we're a little unique here. We are the owners, and Mark is our president. And it's just refreshing to see someone who will always take the time to stop and chat with you. He probably has the same conversation with 10 different people 10 times a day, but he always does it, always takes a minute, and just real grateful for Mr. Murphy and his service. So wish him the best in retirement as he goes forward. But we got a Lombardi to bring home this year, so keep up the good work there, Mr. President.
Yeah, as Drew says here in the chat, I wonder if Murphy will remain an advisor like Thompson did. That would be awesome. Hopefully he does, but at the same time, being in football that long, I can understand if someone wants to just disappear too,
Right.
Hopefully he does, Drew. I think he's done a hell of a job, man. I really do. It's amazing how the people who don't like him, they've never even been to Titletown to see what he's done up there. Some of those folks haven't even been up. And it's Mark Murphy's here. He's a big bumbling idiot, this and that. And then, anyone who understands business, you go up there and see what he's done with that area. I mean, Tim, I know you remember it. I remember when the big Kmart building was sitting over there. There was nothing around Lambo. It was like there used to be nothing around Lambo other than Kroll's West. And then they built the atrium. So now we got this year-round attraction, which that was Bob Harlan that cranked that up. And then Mark Murphy just took it to a whole nother level, bought a bunch of property up, and just started building up Titletown. You can go over there 12 months out of the year and have a good time, can you not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, this time of year is probably one of my favorites, right? You get into late fall, early winter. Before you know it, Arians Hill will be open. We'll be tubing, and we'll be ice skating out there at Titletown. And you're absolutely right, Clayton. I remember it was There was a little church, there was Kroll's, and there was a Kmart. Those were your pregame attractions. You know, you go to church and grab a daddy soda afterwards and go watch the Pack. That was about it. Maybe even go over to Kmart, get yourself an extra layer on the cold days. But it's a totally different ball game up here now, and it really has. It's spawned a lot of other development in the area, and it's going to continue to grow. And you know, on that topic, looking forward to seeing what Ed Policy does moving forward as he ushers in the next era here in Titletown. You got to love it.
Yeah. You know, Coach Lynn just made a comment here in the chat, Tim. If you will highlight it real quick for me and read it. It's talking about LVN. I didn't recognize this. What I love about doing the show is the listeners teach me way more than I teach anyone else. But yeah. Go ahead, read it for me.
Coach Len in the chat, LVN pushed Brooks in the back to help with that block. Yes, he did. And if you see from that, I know what Coach Len's talking about here because I watched it back. You could see Carl Brooks was basically like wrapped around the waist, being pulled.
Yeah, being hooked, right?
Yeah, being hooked. And that little extra, whatever you want to call it, brotherly shove, the tush push, whatever we want to call it. A little bit of help from your friends. Shout out to the Luke Ness Monster here, helping his teammate get it done. Let's see if we can see it.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to go slow motion, so it'll take a second, but let's watch LVN in the back. Yeah, see him loop around right here?
Yes.
And he's got his hands right underneath Carl Brooks' ass cheeks, for lack of a better way of saying it, and pushing him in the air. Look at that.
Love it. Love it.
Look at that pile right there, too, man.
Yep.
Like, they drove the hell out of that pile, man. Let's watch it one more time. Great catch there, Coach Lynn. That is absolutely awesome. LVN helping make that play there. Let's go to the end zone cam real quick and check it out as well. Oh, that's going to be a great angle.
Oh, this is a good look right here.
So you see they're overloaded left, but the block happens on the right. So Carl gets the push through. Watch LVN.
Yep.
That is awesome, dude. Absolutely.
You know, and he caught a lot of heat, right? I heard a lot of fans talking about LVN didn't do much in this game, blah, blah, blah. Well, we see it here. I've even heard the same thing about Tucker Kraft. You know, Tucker Kraft didn't really show up. Are you kidding? Tucker Kraft was the one who pushed Jordan Love into the end zone on the go-ahead touchdown. So, take your eye off the ball, right? Take your eye off the ball and start watching what's happening on that field, and you'll start seeing gems like this. Great eye by Coach Len to pick this up on the tape.
Yeah. Absolutely. Appreciate you, Coach. You are the man, and we wouldn't have even caught it if you hadn't brung that up. I know Tim caught it, but he didn't mention it, and I didn't catch it at all, man. It's the first time seeing it. I just love the setup, too. You know, the plan was to block there on the right side from the defensive perspective, but they've got it overloaded left, probably to allow that extra penetration on that side, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, just phenomenal. Look, is that Carl looking back? I don't know if you can see it or not, but he's looking back at the ball like, did we get it? We got it. Absolutely awesome.
Goodness. Man. Incredible.
All right, so let's move it along here, see what we got in the chat. J. Cole, this was interesting. J. Cole said, crazy enough, the OC we played against yesterday was the one we played against last year against the Panthers. I remember how close that game was. Yeah, it might be something, just a good matchup. He understands how to face this. I know it's a different defense, but as you guys, hopefully people have caught on. When we were talking about Jeff Hafley coming in and any defensive coordinator move you make, they make it sound like it's going to be so different. And we screamed all offseason, don't expect that. Like, there were people expecting us to run man coverage the large majority of the time. And it's like, that doesn't even happen across the league. So understand what to look for, where to look for it, when to look for it, and know, okay, that's just an unreasonable take to think that we're going to come out and play press man across the board. There's nobody in the league that does that. There's some teams that play it more than others. But, like, let me give you an example real quick. Let me pull it up here. This was through week 10, so it hasn't been updated yet. But look at the teams that run man coverage. So with man, you just focus on that left column there, okay? You've got the Lions run cover one man 38% of the time. They're leading the league in cover one man 38% of the time. Cover two man 2% of the time, so they're up to 40 now. Cover zero man, which is cover zero blitz, everyone blitzing other than people being man coverage, there's another 2%. So 42% of the time, the Lions, they lead the league in man coverage, and they're only running it 42% of the time. And that's why we were screaming that in the offseason, going, don't fall into that trap. And And it does piss me off because some people in the media made it sound like that's what it was going to be. And then all of a sudden, but I don't know, week 3, week 2. Well, first of all, through preseason, well, it's just vanilla. They're not going to show it yet. And then week 3, week 4 of the season, they're going, well, we've not seen as much man coverage as we thought. No crap, Sherlock. You think they're just going to completely revamp the way NFL, teams play defense? It's just crazy. So again, just don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. You dive in and research it, man, and you learn about it, because I'm telling you, it's important to understand exactly what's happening on the field, because all it does is it makes our fan base more intelligent. There's nothing cringier than going to Twitter and seeing people who don't know what the hell they're talking about argue with people, and it's like, Bub, I ain't jumping into this when you're on your own. You float on down the creek in that raft, pal. I'm gonna say right here on the bank with my fishing pole. You know what I'm saying? So
it's so true. We talked about that yesterday with the pass rush, right? We're both complaining about the pass rush. You're complaining that it's not getting home. I'm complaining that we're rushing so many guys. Mm-hmm. It's just how you see the game. But yeah, it's so true, Clay. When you take just a minute to try and dive a little deeper, it's amazing what you see. You could watch one play and you could watch it 10 times and see 10 different things every single time you look at it.
Yep, definitely. Cheddarhead in the chat, been a member for 2 months. Shout out to him. Appreciate you, buddy. And also, we are looking for where's our boy at? Get it on the wrong sheet, man. I got so many laminated sheets here on this desk now. Mandy comes up here from time to time. She goes, "This place is a wreck. I'm going back downstairs."
That's terrible.
It is terrible. Justin Connor. We're looking for Mr. Justin Connor.
Here's the guy.
We did hear from the second place winner, Jabin Tebow. We're just waiting to hear from Justin Connor. So if Justin Connor hears this, shoot me a text, 865-658-5824, so we can get you your autographed Romeo Dobbs card. But again,
courtesy of United Baits. Thank you, sir.
All the members in YouTube here, if you're a YouTube member or you're a member of our Patreon group, we put them into drawings throughout the year and give away autographed memorabilia, things like that, just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. We appreciate you. Cheddarhead says, flying to Green Bay for Thanksgiving, hoping for a blizzard, man. That's the way I learned the hard way, Cheddarhead, that you got to try to hit December. Every now and again, you'll get some November snow, right, Tim? Sometimes on Halloween, like a couple years ago, right?
Yep.
But my goal is when I go up, I typically go December, because the sledding hill will be full of snow. And sometimes you can luck up like we did a couple years ago and catch a blizzard in town. It was absolutely awesome. But good luck there flying in for the game on Thanksgiving. That's going to be a fun one, Tim. Get settled in after time with family that evening and watch the ball game.
It's going to be a treat. And bringing Miami up here to play in the cold, you got to love it.
Yeah, definitely. Badger Trio with Super Chat. Seen Cox, I fell in love with in camp. Undrafted Jim. It's been Jacob's guy for a long time too, Badger Trio, as we've pointed out numerous times. He's got a ton of talent. He was one of the most highly recruited players coming out of high school. He ran into personal issues in college. He got kicked off 2 different teams, and that's why he wasn't drafted. If he had just been a straight shooter through college, Tim, not gotten in trouble, probably would have been drafted in one of the first 3 rounds. Like, he had that kind of talent. Now, there's a bit of a conflict between, is he a stack backer? Is he a pass rusher? You can tell the Packers have really pressed into him being a pass rusher. And like, I think it was Jacob that pointed out yesterday, he felt like Cox was a little thicker yesterday. Tim, what did you think of Brenton Cox? You think he put on a little weight? Looks like, huh?
It looks like it, yeah. And Jacob has been he was the one who really kind of shined the light on Brenton Cox Jr. and made a lot of those points, saying here's a guy that, maybe had some issues and was kind of overlooked. And it's great that the Packers took a shot, right? I mean, undrafted, and he's slowly but surely becoming one of those household names here in Green Bay, man. He just contributes. He's not getting a ton of snaps, right? But I think we're going to start to see that change as we go forward, especially with the adjustments that have been made since the Preston Smith trade. So, hopefully we'll see more of that. And, hey, who cares if he only made one play all day? He made the one that mattered the most. Game on the line, think play or not play. I got no problems with Carl Brooks coming up the middle like that on these field goals. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see him do something like this again this year before it's all said and done. But you're right, man. He looks like he's been in the weight room a little bit, pumping some iron. He looks like he put on a few pounds of muscle there.
Thick.
Definitely. If you guys would take a quick second, hit that like button for us. Feel free to sub to the channel. We appreciate y'all making us a part of your Victory Monday here. Hopefully not too many of you ain't laid out of work like I was today. I just said, you know what? Let's just take the day off. This is a special moment here. It's funny too, Tim. If you barely squeaked by with the win and it hadn't been so dramatic at the end, I wouldn't feel this way. But it's just like, I don't know if you guys have seen the reaction videos. I've got one queued up I'd like to play. I wish we could play them all, but man, there is some bad language in it. But these Bears fans are melting down, and part of me, as a fan of a football team, you know, being the Green Bay Packers and multiple college teams, it's like, I don't want to pile on. But, bro, they were so brutal this offseason. Yeah. And everyone's mentioned. I mean, they were just it was like, you guys are a rabid fan base. And if this backfires, it may not, but if this backfires, boy, I'm going to pile it on. That's what we've been doing all morning. So it's nice to wake up and do that every now and again. Thank you so much for the super chat, Badger Trio. Appreciate you. I rock with the super chat. I'm not calling scores anymore. Winning this by 50 points. Also, we need that missing person report for that Bears fans. Go Pack, go. I'm glad you brought it up, sir, because we've actually got it right here. If anyone sees Chris Foster, contact the authorities, okay? And those authorities are at 865-658-5824. Shoot us a text and let us know. Matter of fact, everybody in the chat, let us know what you think, where you think Chris Foster is today. What's your theory around this missing persons report? And then, of course, he says,
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
He says, hope you guys online tomorrow, not after beating. So he obviously
we were there. You weren't.
Yeah, it's just weird. Maybe he had something come up, though. You never know. Again, Chris Foster. Looking for him if anybody finds.
Sit your butt outside.
Might be where he's at. So I rock. Thank you so much, buddy, for the super chat. And listen, I don't do game predictions either for that very reason. I'm gonna be going back on a podcast around the NFC North. I think next week they invited me on, and they're gonna ask for predictions, and it's the thing I hate the most. I'd rather talk about kind of the details, the ins and outs, the X's and O's, that type of thing. But I will give some predictions on there. And I hate doing it, but yeah, man, you're not the only one to swing and miss there, I rock, no doubt. And also shout out to Cheesehead Murph, been a member for 10 months now. You are the man, Murph. Special teams have won us 3 games this year. Think about that.
Yep.
And we're trying to run Versace out of town, right, Murph? It's crazy. So appreciate you supporting the show, man. You are the man. For those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for hour 1. We will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all. All right, Tim, let's break down some of the tape. We'll hit a couple more comments, and I just want to look at a couple key plays and what happened when they happened. But Cheddarhead, how about Brenton Cox yesterday? Absolutely, man, lighting it up. He's becoming a fan favorite real quick, Tim. He really is. Yeah. He got a lot of snaps too, man. Matter of fact,
that was probably the most snaps he's had this year, right?
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's look and see exactly how many he had. Yeah, he had 22 snaps.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. So obviously, Quay Walker was 72, Xavier McKinney was 72, Evan Williams 71, Keyshawn Nixon 71, Carrington Valentine 64. Let's go. And I know he struggled at times. I tell you what, he's willing to stick his nose in there on those runs off the edge, and that's if that's his superpower, you build up the weak spots of his game, knowing that, hey, you got a little extra run defense there off the edge. Maybe he'll work out into something. It's obvious the Packers are giving him plenty of snaps. Now, it wasn't part of the plan, I don't think, going into him. I think they were planning on Jaire Alexander at least playing half the snaps, but obviously he tried to go left with a knee injury. He only had 10 snaps on the day. So it's kind of interesting to see how these shake out here. Edgerrin Cooper, though, look at it, Tim, 53, man. Let's go.
Yeah, he's here. He's arrived. We're not going to see any more, 15 snap games out of him anymore. He's here. He's arrived.
And it's frustrating. Listen, I don't want to pile on Quay, but I know there's been many comments in the chat. We want to be respectful. Obviously, we don't want to be those people that that are going to say something that you wouldn't say to a player's face. That's always my rule, Tim. I've told you guys this. I've told everyone who comes on the show. If you wouldn't say it to their face, you're not going to say it on my show. And that's how I try to treat Twitter as well, right? Is don't be chicken blank. You know what I mean? Just don't be it, right?
And criticize the play all day. It's fine. It's fine to point out flaws in the play, but we're not gonna dump on the person, on the player.
Yeah. And the reality is it looks like Edgerrin Cooper is trending towards being that number 1 backer. I think he'll eventually take over that 72 snap, and Quay may sink out to the one underneath. But again, there's a lot more that goes into it about the green dot, this and that. We'll show a low light reel that Andy Herman put out earlier today. And it's what I seen yesterday too. Again, coverage vertically, Quay's one of the best in the league to do it. but everything in between, it's just not clicking. But anyway, Javon Bullard, 52 snaps. They're playing the slot. Kenny Clark, 47 snaps. Rashawn Gary, 46. Kingsley Enagbare, 41. So what that tells you is your two top edge defenders right now are Kingsley Enagbare and Rashawn Gary. Okay. Now, when you go down and find the next edge defender, it's Lucas Van Ness at 25 and Brenton Cox Jr. at 22. So that's interesting. That's probably the pecking order right now. And Kingsley Enagbare, I thought, had a pretty good game, Tim, at least on the surface. That one sack where Caleb escapes, I don't know what he was doing. Jumping on
high. He went too high on him, it looked like, and Caleb just ducked underneath him. Yeah.
And if he makes that play there, he's the hero of the game.
Oh, yeah. That would have been absolutely clutch right there. Would have shut the door for sure.
Definitely. So we'll get into the snap counts of the offense and everything a little later as well. Fidel Smith, why not any spying on Williams? I could not understand it. And listen, I got to go back and watch the tape again. I made my first pass through today, so I watched every TV copy snap yesterday, and now I watch all 22s today, and then I got to go through and put Chalk Talk together to make the third pass through. I don't know, man. On the surface, it's like the touch spy was gone, and I really expected them to press into that yesterday. Instead, early on, we started blitzing.
Yeah, I kept seeing Quay, and I'm thinking, that's the guy you have spy Caleb, right?
Right.
And then he's mugging, and I'm like, oh, he's going to come out. He's going to fall out.
He's going to do a touch spy, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then, no, he's coming every time, and it's just like, it was tough to watch.
They had him bail completely out, and it was just – and that's why you seen Caleb run wild. It felt like Tommy DeVito again from last year. By the way,
we're getting the underneath throws. We saw that too. Yep.
And Tommy DeVito was named the starter in New York today, so the Daniel Jones experiment is over, evidently. It's an expensive one, too, let me tell you, buddy.
Yeah. And only a year late for them on that.
I get pissed off every time I hear Tommy DeVito's name. Every time, Tim, this is my reaction right here, man. I can't stand the thought of it. So, but I don't know if we're on the same page there, buddy. I thought they would do. And me, not so much even the traditional spying like Tim was talking about. It was more of the touch spy with the defensive lineman. I didn't see much of that. And again, I'm gonna really look for it on the end zone cam when we go back through today. But let's see here. Badger Trio in the chat says Josh Jacobs telling Bears defenders to come hit him was wild. Also, Jacobs is a dog. That's a great point. Tim, did you see that clip?
Oh yeah, when he was running on the sideline and he just pointed.
Jalen Johnson too. He went,
"Come on, like, come on, man." Come on. And then lowers the shoulder and picks up the extra yard and a half. I love it.
Yeah. Jalen Johnson ends up on his face, ass in the air, turning the opposite direction. And Josh Jacobs just scampers out of bounds there. It's just, oh, man. I love that dude. He's becoming the heart and soul of this offense, no doubt. Absolutely. I love that he's a quiet leader, too, for sure. All right, so let's get to a couple of plays here. If you want to keep marking stuff in the chat, Tim, as we go through, if you see something you like, and we'll keep them involved. As we're obviously going to take this for 2 hours. You guys would take a quick second, hit that like button. Feel free to sub to the channel. Appreciate y'all. So this play here, I put this tweet out earlier today. I wish I could get it zoomed in a little bit more for y'all. It's about all I can do, though. Fourth quarter, 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to play. Jordan Love steps right into a buzzsaw to deliver this ball so Christian Watson can make a diving catch, then turn it into a 60-yard play, setting up the game-winning touchdown. So I'll try to zoom in now that we've read that. But, Tim, this play right here, man, this is everything. I want you to key in. We went super slow motion here for this too. Watch Jordan. He's going to step right into this. Josh Myers gets beat like a drum. Watch him step right into that throw. And then scoot with the catch on the backside. And then going, oh, yeah, I didn't get touched. Let's just take this for another 40 yards here. Phenomenal play. Let's take it back to the pass again. Watch Jordan stepping into this. Tim, this is the type of stuff that Jordan has been missing. And when you see him do that, step into a throw like that, knowing he's just going to get his clock clean with the game on the line. And was it a perfect throw? No. But he put it where only his receiver could catch it, which was what we've been complaining about, right? Like, let's make sure we protect the football. Just all the way around, man. What a play by Jay Love and Christian Watson here, man. Yeah,
pressure right in his face. Like you said, he's able to step into it, throw a laser. And yeah, it ain't the best pass in the world, but I'll tell you what, it was a safe one. And we've been talking about that with Jordan putting some of these balls in some precarious locations. This was a great throw. This is called throwing a guy open, really. Yep. I mean, and Scoot, man, what can you say about Christian Watson? that we haven't already said, but it's worth saying again. Absolute stud, absolute dog. For all the heat he caught in his first and second year in this league, it's so refreshing to see him have a game like this. And just a hell of a play. And yes, Bears fans, he caught that ball. Quit crying.
I love that he took 2 Bears out at the end, too. Watch this. I mean, knees one in the face. Watch. Bang. Trips the other one.
So smart in that situation, too. You talk about situational football, right? Real easy to run out of bounds there and stop the clock. That is not what we need in this situation. Great job to cut it back to the inside like this. Yeah,
no doubt, man. Yeah, I was screaming, just turn on the jets. Don't cut it back. Just go up the sideline. Try to get the touchdown. But, hindsight being 2020, you look back and go, you know what? That was the right move. If you make a miss and you score, great. If you get tackled, you're in bounds. The clock keeps running.
Yep.
And you can kind of limit what they're going to be able to do. So that play there, absolutely huge from Jordan Love and Christian Watson. Now, I think it was the very next play or one of the next plays here is the run by Jordan, where he's trying to get in the end zone, just putting his body on the line. Again, man, I just put QB1, but this right here is what you're looking for in a quarterback. Notice everybody's covered up downfield too as we roll it here. Everyone's covered, right?
Yeah.
And it's, all right, let's just see what we can do here. The safety makes a great play coming in and delivering the hit. And again, was he in? Was he not? I don't know. With a better camera angle, maybe we could see. We might be able to see a little bit better right here. You kind of know when the ball goes out. But again, Jordan just sacrificing his body, man. To me, it looked like he was probably in, to be honest with you.
I don't think there's a debate of did the ball break the plane. The question, like they said, is where was he, when that happened. Yeah. But you're right, because if you run that back, man, the Bears had this play absolutely covered. I mean, this was just great defense, and this is all Jordan Love just seeing it and putting his team on his back and trying to make something happen, because there was really, I mean, maybe you can see Tucker right there. He could have let it go here, but you look at Jordan's helmet, he's looking at his other reads here, and he's got pressure coming. So, maybe if that ball got out, he could have hit Tuck Norris in the flat there, but just a great play by Jordan.
What it looks like the play call was for me too was curl from the X, flat. That's what we call curl flat from the T. So it's curl flat, slot cross, and I think it's a Y leak. Yeah, the Y is just going to leak out there on it's like a reverse spot play. Oh, no, he's running a little pivot. See him pivot back in?
Yep.
And again, you're right, man. They covered it completely. But Jordan just like hell with it. Let's see if we can go win this ball game.
Yeah, he had that one little window to hit Tucker Kraft. And even if he gets the completion there, we know Tucker's the yak master, but it wouldn't have been a huge gainer. Just great work by Jordan here. Good job by Tucker there too, to try and get in the way towards the end and kind of extend it. Gotta love it.
Yeah, QB1, man, making things happen. You love to see
feel that pressure. He could feel that backside pressure, and that's something he wasn't doing in the past few games. You know what I mean? He's kind of late making those decisions. He got out of there just in time here.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example too, Tim. When we talk about rushing under control, this edge defender is going to get so far out, it's going to allow him to step up and out of the pocket. And imagine if this guy is just kind of pressing the pocket rather than getting out wide. We love sacks, but everybody's always worried about the sacks. Imagine if he's pressing right here and Jordan has to try to throw the ball or throw the ball away. This doesn't happen. Instead, runs himself out of the play. Jordan feels the pressure. Great job. Just a great job getting any. I know he didn't score technically, but that's going to put yourself in a position to run that quarterback sneak, man. It's just absolutely huge. So
for sure. Shout out to Nacho Libre on that play too. You see Sean Ryan there looking back like, oh, we're running.
Yeah, we're going, baby. We're going. The thing that stood out to me with Jordan yesterday, there was one bad decision that I can recall, and it was actually a play. I think we've got it here. As a matter of fact, let me see. Yeah, one bad decision that I seen from Jordan. Other than that, he played a good mental game yesterday, right? And that's been the knock with Jordan is obviously he tries to do too much when it's, hey, live to play another down. I think this was a 1st and 10 pass here. But you're going to notice Tucker Kraft is going to be wide open. He's going to be running butt naked through the trailer park. And you got to know as a quarterback, first down, just take that check down, right? Instead, think play or not play, he goes to scoot up top here in double coverage. And again, Scoot just making a hell of a play. Christian Watson just going up and getting it. But you see right there, Tucker Kraft is wide open. And instead, he chooses to go to Christian Watson. What a throw, though. Again, on the run, man, a great throw. You got there, what were we, a nub right there? Yeah, a little 12 nub right. And
speaking of 12, that's where he got this from. We've heard Aaron Rodgers talk numerous times about if I see the nameplate, if I see the back of that jersey, I'm throwing that ball.
Absolutely.
I'm throwing it right at your ear hole. Yep.
Now, as he throws this, right here's what I want you to key on. That was the play that should have been made, right? Yep. Now, it's easier said than done. As he's rolling right, he's also seeing these defenders drifting, right? So it's like, okay, is he going to fade back and cover that? He knows he's got Scoot. You know what? Let's just give a guy a shot to make the play here.
Yep. Another Matt LaFleur high-low concept here.
Mm-hmm.
He hit the wrong one, but it worked.
Let's see if we can.
Still a good throw, though. I mean, still a good throw. Not the best decision, but man, he dropped that one right in the bucket, right in between the coverage.
And your tray left, it's basically a 12-ace tray left, nub right. All right. Let's see what the passing concept was. Slot cross.
Yep.
You had slot cross, and it was almost they added in a little follow. It's like a shorter climb with the number 3 here from Ben Sims. Mm-hmm. You're going to notice they're all going to kind of work left to right. You're right. That's definitely a high-low. And then Christian, you know what this looks like, Tim? Remember last week, Tucker, or the week before last, when Tucker Kraft, I think it was, or maybe it was the week before that, it wasn't the Lions game. Tucker Kraft was running that crosser, and he broke off, threw his hand up. It's like he recognized, okay, that crosser is not going to be there. And that's exactly what Christian did here, threw that hand up. That might be why Jordan threw it too. He's trusting his guy, throwing his hand up.
Absolutely.
Scoot just goes in. For Scoot to go grab that ball, man, we've talked about who's wide receiver 1. Listen, what we're talking about with wide receiver 1 is who are you going to pay? You're going to have to pay one of these guys, right? And right now,
it's Christian Watson.
To me, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are the ones making the case. Christian Watson's starting to pull away a little bit because you're seeing him more effective in the run blocking game. You're seeing better hands from Christian than the other guys. Believe it or not, Dobby had a drop yesterday. It sucks because he's got some of the best, if not the best, hands on the team. But Christian Watson making the case for getting that paycheck, man.
I agree. And, in a perfect world, we keep them both, but we know how that goes, right? But yeah, Christian Watson, man, just playing big boy football there. He's known for the speed, the wheels and all of that. But that's just big physical football play right there, refusing to let that ball get picked or broken up, really is what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. As Drew pointed out, it looks like Watson changed his route. He definitely did. It was a slot cross concept, and you could see as soon as he cleared, Ben Sims it was either Ben Sims or I think it was Ben Sims. It might have been Tucker on that side. Whoever it was on this side, on the same side as Christian right here on the left. See, he kind of recognized we're in the same area, so let me just drift off, right? Yep. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why it's called a climb route. Some people see that and they go, that's a crosser, Clayton. We call it climb because in a climb route, a crosser is just dead set. You know exactly where your brakes are. You're running this route, hell or high water. A climb is you're climbing through the open area. It may be underneath. It may be over top. That's something that Matt LaFleur really, really has embedded in his offense is that climb route. And you see him climb up the field here in Watson. And again, the right throw would have been to Tucker underneath, but man, you trust him down, your guy goes and makes a play.
Great adjustment. Watch the end of the route. He changes it twice here, and then he comes back in. So he went flat, and then he kind of went skinny and just kind of weaved in between the two DBs there. It was just incredible by Christian Watson right there. I mean, Jordan putting that ball, you're throwing where your guy's going to be, not where he is, right? And he just kind of threw it to an area, and that's that chemistry we talk about. I think Christian tracked the ball very well, but he did a good job of not running into one of those DBs and, falling on his ass, and then we have an incompletion or a pick.
Yeah. And it's like last year, or I'm sorry, the last game we played against the Lions in the rain, it was Watson can't track the ball. Obviously it was a downpour. Yep. You're not show them this clip when they say Watson can't track the ball. I mean, because that's just.
And he's staring right into the sun too.
Yeah. Right. Hell of a job, man. Hell of a job. All right. So that was a huge play there. And let's see what else we got here real quick. There's a couple other things. Tim, why don't we put a graphic up real quick? And we're going to play a couple of one Bear fans reaction. It's two Bears fans in the same clip here, but it is.
Well, let's get Shug and Tupac on the screen there. Here we go. So
listen, guys, there may be cussing. All right. I can't remember on this one. I think this was the cleaner one I found, but there may be an F-bomb or two. Okay. If there is, first of all, our channel on YouTube is always set up in case knuckleheads like us slip up from time to time. Okay. So we're protected on YouTube, But if you're listening on the podcast or you've got kids in the room, understand there may be some cussing here, okay? So earmuff it, fast forward, throw in an earbud or something. Here we go. A couple Bears fans reacting. Listen, it's going to get loud. I'm going to try not to burst everybody's eardrums, and you're going to hear him react to the Keenan Allen catch that put them in field goal range where they said, all right, that's enough, rather than try to get a few extra yards. But 29 seconds of just absolute glory. Here we go. Uh-oh. I just looked in the chat. My bad. Didn't have it on the screen, did I? Here we go. My bad, guys. User error. I seen Drew say can't hear it. This is in all its glory. Sorry about that. Here
Heard
we go.
it from a fan right here.
Yes! I fucking told y'all! Come on! Come on! Finally! Finally!
And it's blocked.
Oh!
My goodness, the Packers block it, and they're gonna win.
Oh! Oh! My God! Why does this always happen to me?
Green Bay survives.
Why
Still suck.
Tim, he said, why does this always happen to me? Because you're a Bears fan. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, it comes with the territory.
Nah, man, it's like saying, man, I like handling snakes and I got bit. You know, you root for a sucky team, sucky things happen. I don't know what to tell you. God, it was gold. And I apologize for being muted the first time, but man, they caught that Keenan Allen catch and it was, I told you. Yeah. Oh my God, man. Victory.
That kind of reminds me. That was like we would watch all those games where a team would get a late score and there'd be like 40 seconds on the clock and everyone's celebrating and we're looking like, oh, we're gonna march down and get the dub. Classic celebrating too early from Bears fans. You gotta love it.
It was, man. We tried to warn you. Listen, pick a different team. All right, I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. So
things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
All right, let's talk about the snap count real quick, Tim. We hit on it a little bit earlier. Let's go offense. Sean Ryan, we expected him to play a large majority, if not all the snaps at right guard. That is what happened. 46 snaps for him. Obviously 46 for Jordan. Rasheed Walker, 46 snaps. Elton Jenkins, 46 snaps. Zach Tom, 46 snaps. Josh Myers, 46 snaps. So with Jordan Morgan out, that is your starting O-line. I thought they played pretty well. I don't know how you feel about it, Tim. I think we only took one sack. And I felt like the running game was really effective. We were averaging 6 yards a carry for a long time before they really started to load the box. But offensive line-wise, this is what we expected, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think all in all, they played pretty well. And the run blocking did look a little bit better. We saw some good running in this ball game, which is honestly why we were around to get the dub, is because we did. We finally kind of leaned into that run game a little bit. I kept waiting for the moments that we were going to get away from it. We saw some first down throws here and there, but I agreed with them. They were peppered in. We threw in some of those play action looks off of that run game. And a lot of that is a testament to our O-line. Elton Jenkins, I thought, played pretty well. And good to see Josh back out there, at center. And I think you're right. This is going to be the formula going forward without Jordan Morgan.
Yeah. Next, you got Tucker Kraft at 43 snaps. Obviously, he's tied in 1. Josh Jacobs with 37. Since we're talking Josh Jacobs, let's slide down. Who was the next running back? The next one was actually Chris Brooks with 10 snaps.
Yeah, he played well, really well.
Emmanuel Wilson, only 3 snaps. Now, people go, oh, crap, so Chris Brooks is halfback too. Not necessarily.
No.
He didn't get it. He didn't get a single carry. So those 10 snaps, he was in the passing game, right? And he actually had 2 targets, made 2 catches for 13 yards. So you heard LaFleur, and this is where we all got to, and I got to do better at it too. We got to learn how to listen, right? When LaFleur talks at these pressers, some fans just roll their eyes and pretend like, oh, it's just coach speak. As soon as they signed Chris Brooks, they were, he was raving over him. He was like, hey, listen, he's a solid running back. He's effective at catching the ball, and he's really good in pass pro. And everybody rolled their eyes going, if he was that good, he wouldn't be on the streets. And then you see he's out snapping Emmanuel Wilson because given the situation and the flow of the game, they were leaning on the pass. and they really trust Brooks to be in there for pass protection, which, by the way, the play where Jordan Love gets lit up and he hits Christian Watson, one guy you'll see step up in pass pro was Josh Jacobs. Did you see that? He stuck that dude right in the chest, man.
Yep.
So you're seeing Josh Jacobs' pass blocking start to improve as we get into the second half of the season here. Romeo Doubs with 36 snaps, so he had the most of any wide receiver. Christian Watson was second with 31. You love to see it. Jaden Reed, 26. And the reason that Jaden Reed's snaps were down, in my opinion, we were in 12, a little more than we expected. So he's obviously on the field for some 12, but he's on the field for all 11 personnel for the most part. Dontavion Wicks was sitting at 16, then Bo Melton at 5, Malik Heath at 3. Now, if you climb back up, look at Ben Sims, 17 snaps. Obviously, John Fitzpatrick got 3 snaps, so they're a little spell there. Not sure what happened, but Ben Sims is definitely tied in too until Luke Musgrave comes back. And who knows, he may hold on to it too. We've got rights to him next year as well. Definitely want to see Ben Sims back on this roster, no doubt about that. But anything stick out to you here as far as the offensive snap count, Tim?
Yeah, I think when you look at, some of the guys on the lower end, Brooks, Bo, Fitzpatrick, E. Wilson, Malik Heath, it took everybody to get this dub. And sometimes you got to put guys in and give guys a breather. And that's why they just get a few snaps. Like you said, they chose to use Chris Brooks more in the pass game. It's a situational thing. If you look at the 3 snaps, it'd be fun to break down and see really what Emmanuel Wilson did with his 3 snaps, because if memory serves me correct, he had a couple of really good runs. They chose to use Emmanuel Wilson there in the run fits to give Josh Jacobs a little bit of a breather, and he answered the call. I still think Emmanuel's a great runner, not as much of a threat in the passing game as maybe Jacobs or Chris Brooks, but running back 2 right now, until we figure out what's going on with Marshawn Lloyd here, best of luck with the appendicitis recovery. I think Brooks and Wilson are your running back 2 collectively. We're running back by committee here when it comes to everything beyond Josh Jacobs. And I think you talk about complementary football. We saw a lot of that yesterday with some of these guys that didn't have high snap totals, but they played meaningful football when they were on the field. Even Malik Heath had some great blocks in those three snaps that he did play. So everybody, from top to bottom on this roster is contributing. And, we live and die as a team, and we lived yesterday.
Yeah. Not by much, but we lived. We live on.
It's a win, baby, right?
Defensive snap count. Quay Walker, 72. Xavier McKinney, 72. Evan Williams, 71. Keyshawn Nixon, 71. Carrington Valentine, 64. Edgerrin Cooper, 53. That's the big number there. Javon Bullard, 52. Kenny Clark, 47. Rashawn Gary, 46. Kingsley Naibari, 41. We kind of hit on that already. Those are your 2 top edge defenders, it seems like right now. Devontae Wyatt, 35 snaps. TJ Slayton, 34. I am so excited about TJ Slayton getting more snaps. I hope that continues, that they kind of show a more balanced rotation, getting him involved, because believe it or not, he's got one of the higher pressure percentages of the interior defensive linemen on this team. It's really, really impressive what he's been able to do in the pass rush, because we expected him just to be a 34 nose when they took him. You switch from a 34, you immediately think him and Jonathan Ford probably don't have a place on this roster, but TJ Slayton, man, obviously getting the sack yesterday was huge there. And when it mattered toward the end, right? Him and Gary. Now, I know they end up converting on the 3rd and 20 or whatever it was, but man, did Gary and Slayton show up there in the 4th quarter with those sacks. Carl Brooks with 30 snaps. Lucas Van Ness got 25. Brenton Cox Jr. with 22. Isaiah McDuffie with 19. Eric Wilson with 13. The only one I disagree with here is Eric Wilson. Yeah. Why Isaiah's still getting more snaps than him, I really don't understand, Tim. How do you feel about that? Do you disagree with me there? Because I feel like Eric Wilson, if it were up to me, guys, and listen, this may only last a week. He may go out there and in 1 week, full snaps, getting 50-some snaps, Eric Wilson might not be cut for it, right?
Right.
I would much rather see Edgerrin Cooper have all of Quay's snaps, Eric Wilson have the 2nd most snaps, and then Quay be 3rd. That's just me personally. But as far as Eric Wilson here, do you agree you want to see him get more snaps?
Definitely. And I'm not a Zay McDuffie hater. I love his game as well, but Zay is your guy for the run fits. He's not the. If you look at some of the ones where we asked him to cover, he was there. He wasn't like lit up, beat bad, but he's allowing completions and he's late back to the ball carrier. You don't see that as much with Eric Wilson and Quay. I think Eric Wilson's a little bit more versatile. He's definitely effective in the run and in the pass game. So I would totally agree with that. The consensus is, Cooper's here to stay. What are we going to do with Quay now? And, I don't think Quay should not see the field anymore. I think we might be at the beginning of that transition where we start to see a little bit more of Eric Wilson and a little bit less of Quay Walker. And again, we've got Tyron Hopper waiting in the wings as well. There's depth in this linebacker room, and it'll be real interesting to see how this plays out going forward.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. We got breaking news here. Badger Trio breaks it. Says that breaking news, Mark Murphy is going into the Packers Hall of Fame next July. And I don't know if he's kidding or what, went to Twitter, and sure enough, here we go. Packers Hall of Fame tweeted out, Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame, Inc. will induct Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy at the 2025 Hall of Fame induction banquet. So Mark Murphy is going into the Packers Hall of Fame immediately upon obviously having to step down for age reasons. But Tim, pretty cool. We were just talking about him, man. My man's going to be in the Packer Hall of Fame. It's well-deserved.
I love it. I hope they got this video on loop there on the display.
65%. 65%. That's what you go through the Packer Hall of Fame, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they got lockers set up, and you got a phone that you can pick up, and you push a button, and it plays it's almost like the NFL Hall of Fame voice, and it's kind of talking about the highlights of their career. You go to Mark Murphy's, you pick it up, and it just 65% on loop, man. It's absolutely awesome.
I'm with Drew D here in the chat. Easiest induction decision ever. Exactly. Well said.
Definitely. Completely agree, man. So shout out to Mark Murphy, obviously getting put into the Packer Hall of Fame there and all the work he's done, man. And listen, I'm excited to see what Ed Policy does. For those of you who don't know about Ed Policy, do a little bit of research, study on him. I think it was his dad that was the president of the 49ers during those dynasty years, where it was him and Bill Walsh and obviously Eddie DeBartolo, I think is how you say his name, an owner that came in and completely revamped the San Francisco 49ers organization. Ed Policy was a big part of that. Or Ed Policy's dad was. So you're getting someone who's a football guy. This is the perfect example, Tim, we talk about, like the McCaskey family down in Chicago.
Yep.
They don't have, like, Ed Policy would be the perfect person to go in and try to take over the Chicago Bears and run it for them, right? And the same thing with Mark Murphy. They took a former player, Mark Murphy. He led the league in interceptions one year. I think he had a Super Bowl ring, if I remember correctly.
He played safety, right? Was he a
safety? Big boy. Yeah, it's funny. Everybody looks at him like this old bumbling idiot, and it's like, boy, you have no idea. He'd knock your head off back in the 80s. So you took a former player who went to Northwestern and took over, I think, as the athletic director, I believe.
Yep.
So he had this, and I think he's also, I want to say he's got a law degree. I could be wrong. Sharp as a
that's true. I believe he does. Yep.
So you take a football guy, football experience as a player, football experience running an organization, albeit a college, institute in the athletic department, and then stepping right in and taking over the Green Bay Packers, and now him handing it over to our boy Ed Policy. It's going to be awesome. Drew D in the chat. Yep, he has a law degree. So it's just amazing how people, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're like, oh, he's a bumbling idiot. And it's like, boy, this dude has accomplished more in your life, more in my life than I'll ever in my life. Yep. And we're sitting there acting like you don't know what the heck he's doing. He's definitely a football guy. So shout out to Mark Murphy getting into the Packers Hall of Fame. And thank you, Badger Trio, for bringing that to our attention, man. Anytime you guys see something like that, throw it in the chat for me. We appreciate y'all for that. So let's see what else we got here real quick. In the chat, we'll wrap up in the chat here. IROC, is this the last season we see Ja as a Packer? It broke my heart hearing he got pulled out of the game. Yeah, he got pulled out for the knee injury. Never say never, but never. The reality of his contract is the majority of the guaranteed money is pretty much gone. So if he's wanting to have another bite at the apple, it's probably not going to happen in Green Bay. I could be wrong. They love him. What I'm saying is, if he wants to get more guaranteed money, restructure the contract, get more guaranteed money, it would really, really have to benefit the Packers in order for them to do that. That's just my personal opinion. Yep. There's no doubt that Jeff Hafley loves him. There's no doubt that Coach LaFleur loves him. But we know how it is, Tim. We've seen it. We've seen this movie over and over and over again on loop. They get rid of players 1 year. They'd rather get rid of players 1 year too early than 1 year too late, right? And if I had to put money on it, let me put it this way. I would say Ja's coming back next year. But judging by the contract and the money you could save, there's a chance he doesn't. I'm going to pull that contract up real quick, but you give me your take on it, man.
Yeah, I think it's something you have to look at that DB room, right? And if Ja's not here next year, who's stepping up into that role?
Right.
As far as that leader, is it CV? Is it we know it's not going to be Eric Stokes, right? We haven't seen Kalen King. Do we draft another corner in the draft next year? There's a lot of variables. Do we make a free agent signing? Do we make a trade? I don't know. I will say this, for all the heat that Ja has caught in recent memory for missing time, here's a guy who I'm convinced pregame basically begged the coaches to let him play. And he tried to go out there and do it. And, we only got 10 snaps out of him. He just couldn't do it anymore. If anything, it shows you just how serious that knee really is. It's not a nagging issue. Something's going on there that's keeping him from the field. And, you want to see a guy do that. You want to see a guy go out and leave it all on the field and at least try and make a go of it. He was a late scratch before the bye against the Lions. He tried to go then. They held him out. This week they let him go. We got 10 snaps. You can't really put that on Jaire. Injuries happen. You love to see the fight. But I think when it comes to looking forward, things, IROC's right, man. It's a great question because things could be kind of up in the air. I'm with you, Clayton. I think my gut says he stays a Packer. If there is a restructure, it's going to be Green Bay Packer friendly and less Jaire Alexander friendly. I think Ja's already got the bag. He's got money. He won't be worrying about funds for the future. But I also know that Ja loves being a Packer, man. He really does. And he carries the G. And I'd love to see him back. But, this is a business. And money talks. BS runs the marathon. Feelings don't matter. So we got to look at, the tail of the tape here and see how it's going to break down. But I certainly, as a Jaire fan, hope that he's back next year. But I can totally understand if things go the other way, right?
Yeah, definitely. And when we look at the contract here, here's basically what you got, guys. Obviously, 2024 under contract. He's got 3 more years. Well, 2 years and avoidable years. So he's under contract for the Green Bay Packers in 2025 and 2026. He's got 1 voidable year in 2027, which is carrying a cap proration of $2.3 million. So essentially what these numbers mean, let me break it down into layman's terms. If you want to move on from Jaire Alexander next year, his cap hit is $25.8 million, but his dead cap is $19 million. So what you're going to do is free up $6.8 million in cap space if you just cut him out right next year. Okay. So what happens is that voidable year cap hit will accelerate to the current year that you cut him. Okay. So if you want to put it on 2025 or you can put it on 2026, much like we did with Zadarius Smith a couple years ago. I think we did that where we kind of carried that. No, Devontae Campbell. We did this last year. You kind of pushed it on into the next year. You can do that as well. But if what it comes down to is Jaire Alexander worth freeing up $6 million in cap space? That's the big question. I can see the argument for both sides. The fact that he's played less than 50% of the games, since signing that new contract, that's tough. That's a tough sell for me because accountability and availability are the 2 most important abilities.
Can't make the club in the tub.
Now, let's say that, like I said, my money would be on he would return next year, but then 2026 you're looking at an out, right? If you bring him back next year and in 2026 you cut him, the dead cap is only $10.7 million with that acceleration of the 2.3 in proration. So essentially what you're going to be able to do, the cap hit was going to be $27.8 million. That cap hit will go down to 10.7, allocating for the dead cap and the acceleration. You're going to free up over $17 million, $17.1 million in cap space if he's not back in 2026. Now, the other route you could take, and this is, let's say the Packers are leaning towards, all right, we're not going to bring Ja back, or we can't bring him back for the cap hit we got. You go to him and you ask for a negotiation. And here's how you would approach that. Let's say you go into next year and go, all right, here's the deal, Ja. We want you back, but not at the 25.8. Okay. So your base salary is 16.1 million next year. Your workout roster, we'll just leave that in place. So let's work with the 16.1. We can either cut you outright, okay, and all you're getting is the guaranteed money that you've already gotten, or we can shave that 16.1 in half. And here's how we can do it. What if we set your base salary at $4 million and we cut you a check for $4 million in signing bonus? So we go ahead and turn $4 million of that base salary into signing bonus. We'll write you a check today for that, and we can lower your cap. Because what they can do then, Tim, if they shave off $8 million off of that 16.1, then you can then spread that $8 million over the next 2 years, including the voidable year, right? So what you're going to do is free up $8 million in cap space. Actually, you could free up as much as probably 10 or 15 million if you want to get real aggressive with it. So if they want him back, that's probably the approach they'll take. But if they cut him outright and say, we just want to wipe our hands clean and move on, then you're probably going to move on to this next one. Let me see here. Adam Block said, we need 2 corners next offseason. You'd be kind of approaching it that way. Tim, you remember this past offseason, one of the top needs that we had labeled on this team was cornerback, was it not?
It sure was.
We thought they were going to take a corner in the first 3 rounds. Yeah, I mean, as sure as we're sitting here. And we were wrong.
When did we got a corner in what was Kalen King, 7th round?
Yeah, right. And he hasn't even seen the field hardly at all, if any, this year, right?
And most of the other corners we have, like, Rob Rochelle, and, it's like those are special team guys. We are going to need, a man-to-man corner or a good zone corner, coverage corner, at least one. And I think Adam's right, probably 2.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, when we do that, we're going to do it again this offseason. This show goes 365 days a year. We weren't saying this is what the Packers are going to do. We were saying this is what we would do. And listen, we're always going to bow to the Packers, and they've got way more great football minds that are on this stupid little show. This show sucks. We talk about it all the time. But looking back now, Tim, I feel comfortable saying we should have gotten a corner. We should have spent a little more on a corner because Eric Stokes didn't pan out like they expected. Jaire's been hurt most of the year, right? You've got a 7th-round pick in Carrington Valentine you're trying to put out there. You're trying to put your slot corner on the boundary, which I think he's played fairly decent, just me personally. And you've got the safety that you drafted. You could say, well, there's a corner, Clayton. He's playing slot. It's obvious that wasn't their plan going into the season because he started the season as the safety, right? So
yeah, and Javon Bullard, I'm going to say it. I love his style. I love the way he plays. I love him more as a safety than a slot corner. But we have the Evan Williams factor, right? And you want Evan Williams on the field, and that's where he's going to play. You've got Xavier McKinney. That guy's not going to be – you're going to have to get the Army to take that guy off the field. So it's tough. We're kind of – you're kind of in a roster lock, right? You're kind of between a rock and a hard place when it comes down to it. But I don't think we'll see an outright release, right? You think the Packers would really cut and run from Jaire altogether? I think they would at least try to do a restructure or
a trade, right?
Yeah, something. I don't see an outright release. But then again, we never thought we'd see that with Aaron Jones, and that happened as well. So
listen, if you're willing to trade Rasul Douglas away, where the amount of money, the production he was getting versus the money that he was on the cap for, you're willing to trade him. I think they'd be willing to trade Ja, but you got to be careful because the second that you mention you're going to trade Ja, and listen, Rasul came out of left field, right? We didn't expect him. Same thing with Preston Smith. There was nobody the week of going, they're going to trade Preston Smith. So when they do it quick, and it means someone comes and offers them without them, quote unquote, shopping them, right? Yep. And that could be the case too. If it happens, it'll happen fast. Again, I don't know really where I stand, Tim. I would be okay with Ja coming back and giving it one more shot. And if you get the same year you got this year, then you cut bait and move on. But also I can see the kind of what Drew's saying here. We're going to have to bring in a new corner if we let Ja walk. And then he points out there's a bunch of cornerback talent in the draft. There is. And maybe you can get a few draft picks for Ja and be able to climb up in the draft and get a solid corner. Who knows? Yep. Again, that's all the stuff we'll be talking about that a lot this offseason for sure.
Well, either way it goes, we'll always have that game in Charlotte.
Took it down the sideline, turned over with my guys, gave the football to a little kid wearing 23.
Actually, it was in Miami.
Was that Miami? I thought that was the North Carolina game.
Unfortunately, we have Charlotte too because that's when he made himself a captain and everything. The wheels kind of came off. So. Yeah, that was in Miami when he got the pick 6 on Tua, right? Or at least close to a pick 6.
Something like that.
He took it all the way back. But, yeah, it feels like it was decades ago now, don't it, man? It sucks getting old. It is. But thanks for bringing it up, iRock. I think it's a good conversation, man. Last couple comments, we got to get out of here. Quay to the edge says, Coach Lynn, I would be okay with it, Coach. Who knows, man? He might pop there, right? Just let him kind of get after the quarterback.
That's why I started that one, because that's a great point from Coach Lynn. Like,
try to,
the worst idea, right?
I'm not saying try to pay him like a top edge or anything, but like implement him into the rush a little bit now that Preston's gone. And get air, and again, he could still be that stack backer that comes in, behind Edgerrin Cooper and Eric Wilson. But guys, listen, the snap count, it's like we always say, you want to find out where someone's priorities are, look at their checkbook and their calendar. You want to know where the Packers' priorities are, look at that snap count. And Quay is still getting 72 snaps, so they see him much more valuable than we do. There's no two ways about that.
That's that first round draft pick that we're going to hang on to real tight, right?
Yep, that's exactly right, man. It kind of feels like Savage all over again. It really does. Drew D in the chat says, did Ryan have a good PFF grade again? We haven't got the PFF grades yet, Drew. They should be dropping probably around noon. Typically is when that happens for the 1 o'clock games, for the Sunday before. But we will have the PFF grades tonight on PTA Live as Victory Monday will roll on. So we'll see you guys and gals here for that this evening. Tim, anything else you want to hit on here before we wrap up, Bo?
No, the Bears still suck. We got the dub. All is well. Victory Monday. It feels good, right? We haven't had a Victory Monday in a while. We had the bye week. We had a loss going into the bye. Hey, we got a division win finally. I don't care how ugly it was. We got a division win. That is gonna matter down the stretch. And like I said, everything's primed for these last two divisional matchups to grind out the end of the season. It's gonna be another hell of a ride down the stretch. So go Pack, go! And looking forward to tonight. Victory Monday continues.
Yeah, we'll have Victory Monday continuing tonight with the PFF grades. And tomorrow we'll be doing a Chalk Talk Tuesday, breaking down the top plays, what happened, why did it happen, all that good stuff. So we'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Central for all that. Give a shout out to Cheddarhead being a member for 2 months, Badger Trio with the Super Chat, iRock with the Super Chat, and Cheesehead Murph being a member.
Murph.
Murph, if we ever do a Mount Rushmore of listeners / viewers, Murph and Eric Sutherland are the first two at the top.
Yep.
No doubt about it. So
absolutely.
Probably Bates too. Bates has got to be there too.
Yep.
Those are the three, so we might have spot for one more. I don't know. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Help me out here, Tim.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go. Enjoy this Victory Monday.